Captain Daniel "Danny" Hayes adjusted the straps on his cargo suit, ensuring everything was in place before boarding the starship Endeavour. His well-worn uniform bore the marks of countless journeys through the galaxy, a testament to his experience and resilience. The Endeavour was a reliable vessel, its sleek design and advanced technology allowing Danny to navigate through even the most treacherous regions of space. As he completed his pre-flight checks, Danny glanced at the mission briefing displayed on the holoscreen. Routine transport mission, load of medical supplies and machinery for the colony on New Terra. Estimated travel time, 5 days. Standard fare for a seasoned courier like Danny. He took a deep breath, feeling the familiar mix of excitement and anticipation that accompanied each new voyage. The Endeavour's engines roared to life, filling the hangar with a powerful hum. Danny's hands moved deftly over the controls, guiding the ship out of the docking bay and into the vast expanse of space. He watched as the stars stretched into streaks of light, the ship entering hyperspace with a smooth transition. Settling into the pilot's seat, Danny allowed his mind to wander. Each mission had its own set of challenges, but the routine nature of this one suggested a peaceful journey. Yet, a nagging feeling in the back of his mind told him otherwise. Space was unpredictable, and Danny had learned to trust his instincts. Halfway to his destination, Danny was jolted from his thoughts by a sudden alert. The ship's communication system crackled to life, emitting a faint, garbled distress signal. Danny's brow furrowed as he adjusted the frequency, trying to decipher the message. "This is unknown vessel, requesting immediate assistance. Coordinates: 344.87, 981.42. Repeat, distress signal." The signal was weak, filled with static, but the urgency in the transmission was unmistakable. Danny quickly plotted the coordinates, realizing they led to an uncharted region of space, far off the usual trade routes. His curiosity piqued. He made the decision to investigate. "Endeavour to control, diverting course to investigate a distress signal," Danny reported, knowing that his superiors would question the detour. But protocol demanded that any distress signal be responded to, and Danny was not one to ignore a call for help. The journey to the source of the signal was tense. The coordinates led him to a small, desolate planet, its surface barren and uninviting. As the Endeavour descended through the atmosphere, Danny scanned the area for signs of life, or any indication of the source of the distress call. Landing near a cluster of rocky outcroppings, Danny donned his environmental suit and prepared to disembark. The planet's atmosphere was thin and cold, a harsh environment that made survival difficult. He activated his suit's scanners, searching for any anomalies or life signs. As he approached a large, partially buried structure, the scanner pinged. Faint life signs detected. Danny's heart quickened. He moved cautiously, the desolate landscape eerily silent except for the crunch of his boots on the rocky ground. The structure appeared to be an abandoned alien facility, its entrance partially obscured by debris and overgrowth. With a determined push, Danny cleared the entrance and stepped inside. The interior was dark and musty, the air filled with the scent of decay. He activated his suit's flashlight, the beam cutting through the darkness to reveal rows of abandoned equipment and storage containers. Following the scanner's readings, Danny navigated through the maze of corridors until he reached a large chamber. His breath caught in his throat at the sight before him. Dozens of small alien infants nestled in makeshift cribs, their eyes wide and filled with a mixture of fear and curiosity. The distress signal had come from an automated beacon, triggered by the facility's failing power systems. Danny's mind raced. Who had left these creatures here? Why were they abandoned? The infants' cries echoed in the chamber, a haunting sound that stirred a deep sense of responsibility within him. He knew he couldn't leave them behind, but the logistics of rescuing and caring for so many were daunting. Without wasting another moment, Danny began carefully gathering the infants, wrapping them in thermal blankets to protect them from the planet's harsh environment. One by one, he carried them to the Endeavour, his resolve strengthening with each trip. He would find a way to ensure their safety, no matter the cost. As Danny navigated the rough terrain, his helmet's visor highlighted a faint energy signature in the distance. He moved cautiously, his steps echoing in the eerie silence. The source of the signal led him to a large, partially buried structure, its alien architecture both awe-inspiring and foreboding. The entrance, obscured by debris and overgrowth, suggested it had been abandoned for some time. Danny cleared the entrance with some effort, revealing a dark, musty corridor. The walls were adorned with strange symbols and patterns, hinting at a civilization with advanced technological capabilities. He activated his suit's flashlight, the beam cutting through the darkness to illuminate rows of ancient, dormant machinery and storage units covered in dust and cobwebs. As Danny ventured deeper into the structure, his helmet's scanner detected faint life signs. Following the readings, he navigated a maze of corridors until he reached a large chamber. What he saw made him pause in disbelief. Dozens of small, alien infants nestled in makeshift cribs, their eyes reflecting the light from his suit. Their appearance was unlike any species Danny had encountered. Large, luminous eyes, delicate limbs, and soft, bioluminescent skin that shimmered faintly in the dim light. The infants stirred as Danny approached, their cries a mix of fear and curiosity. His heart ached at the sight of these helpless creatures, clearly abandoned and left to fend for themselves. The distress signal had come from an automated beacon, likely triggered when the facility's power systems began to fail. The implications were staggering. Who had left them here, and why? Danny's mind raced as he assessed the situation. The infant's survival was at immediate risk. The facility's life support systems were barely functioning, and the harsh environment outside offered no refuge. He knew he couldn't leave them behind, but the logistics of rescuing and caring for so many were daunting. With a sense of urgency, Danny began to gather the infants, wrapping them in thermal blankets to protect them from the cold. He worked quickly but carefully, mindful of their fragility. Each trip to and from the Endeavor was a test of his endurance, but he was fueled by a growing sense of responsibility. These creatures needed him, and he wouldn't let them down. His first thought was to contact the nearest space station or planet for assistance, but the desolate planet was far from any known trade routes, and communication signals were weak. He had no immediate way to ensure the infants' safety except to bring them aboard the Endeavor. Danny's training had prepared him for many scenarios, but this was unprecedented. He took a deep breath and made the decision. He couldn't, in good conscience, leave these infants to die. He initiated the ship's environmental controls, adjusting them to accommodate the infants' needs based on the scans he had performed. He returned to the chamber and began the arduous task of transporting the infants to the Endeavor. Each trip was a test of his strength and determination. He carefully secured the makeshift cribs, making sure each infant was safe and comfortable in the ship's cargo hold, which he had hastily converted into a temporary nursery. As he worked, his mind raced with questions. Who were these creatures? Why were they abandoned on such a desolate planet? He knew he needed answers, but first, he had to ensure their immediate survival. With the last infant safely aboard, Danny sealed the ship and initiated takeoff. As the Endeavor ascended, he accessed the ship's database, searching for any information on the alien species he had encountered. The database contained vast amounts of data on known civilizations, but nothing matched the unique characteristics of the infants. Danny's thoughts turned to the broader implications of his actions. By rescuing these infants, he had potentially inserted himself into an interstellar conflict or a deeply complex situation. He needed a plan. His first priority was to find a safe haven where the infants could receive proper care and where he could gather more information. As the Endeavor cruised through space, Danny plotted a course to the nearest neutral station, where he could seek assistance and advice. He also sent out a coded message to his old friend Zara, a skilled pilot and mechanic with a knack for solving impossible problems. He knew he couldn't do this alone, and Zara was someone he could trust implicitly. As Danny prepared to leave the alien planet, the facility's alarms blared, echoing through the corridors. His heart pounded as he rushed to the cockpit, instinctively scanning the horizon. A fleet of hostile ships emerged from the planet's shadow, their sleek designs and menacing weaponry indicating they were not friendly. The automated beacon had not only sent out a distress signal, but had also attracted unwanted attention. Danny's fingers flew over the controls, initiating the Endeavor's launch sequence. The engines roared to life, and the ship lifted off just as the hostile ships began their descent. Blaster fire streaked through the sky, narrowly missing the Endeavor's hull. Danny gritted his teeth, maneuvering the ship with precision to avoid the incoming attacks. The Endeavor shot through the atmosphere, breaking free into the cold vacuum of space. The hostile ships were relentless, pursuing him with unwavering determination. Danny activated the ship's defensive systems, deploying countermeasures and evasive maneuvers. He needed to outsmart them, using every trick he had learned from years of experience. Danny's mind raced, assessing his options. He couldn't engage in a prolonged battle. The Endeavor wasn't built for combat. His best chance was to reach a nearby asteroid field, where he could use the dense cover to his advantage. He plotted a course and pushed the engines to their limits, the stars around him blurring as the ship accelerated. The asteroid field loomed ahead, a chaotic jumble of rocks and debris. Danny weaved through the obstacles with deft precision, the hostile ships hot on his trail. The field's unpredictability was both a blessing and a curse, offering him opportunities to evade, but also posing significant risks. As he navigated the treacherous terrain, Danny deployed decoys, creating false sensor readings to confuse his pursuers. The tactic worked momentarily, buying him precious seconds to gain distance. However, the hostile ships were tenacious, their pilots skilled in their own right. They closed in, their weapons ready to fire. Just as Danny thought he was out of options, a message pinged on his console. Zara had received his distress signal and was en route. Relief washed over him, but he knew they still had to survive until she arrived. He doubled down on his evasive maneuvers, every turn and twist calculated to throw off the enemy. The asteroid field's chaos worked to his advantage. One of the hostile ships collided with an asteroid, exploding in a fiery burst. The debris from the explosion created a temporary shield, giving Danny the opening he needed. He pushed the Endeavor through the narrow gap, the remaining ships struggling to follow. Suddenly, Zara's ship, the Ironclad, burst into view, guns blazing. Her arrival was a game-changer. The Ironclad's heavy artillery and advanced defense systems provided the firepower and cover Danny needed. Together, they turned the tide of the battle, forcing the remaining hostile ships to retreat. Danny briefed Zara on the situation as she inspected the infants. Zara was a skilled mechanic and pilot, with a reputation for solving problems that seemed impossible. She immediately saw the gravity of the situation and the potential risks involved. "We need to keep them safe and figure out why they're so valuable," Zara said, her tone serious. The two friends devised a plan. Zara's contacts in the underground network could provide information about the species of the infants and why various factions were so interested in them. Meanwhile, Danny focused on ensuring the infants' well-being, using Zara's ship's advanced medical facilities. Days passed, filled with tension and urgency. Zara's network brought in valuable intelligence. The infants belonged to a species known as the Kivari, reputed for their advanced genetic abilities and potential for rapid adaptation. This made them targets for those seeking to exploit their capabilities for military or technological gains. Danny and Zara's allies grew, including a few influential members of the Galactic Council who were sympathetic to their cause. However, they also attracted the attention of more powerful adversaries. Intergalactic corporations and rogue mercenaries intensified their efforts to capture the infants, each motivated by their own greed and ambitions. The hidden asteroid base became a focal point of intrigue and danger. Danny and Zara fortified their defenses, preparing for inevitable confrontations. They also worked on a contingency plan, ready to move the infants to a safer location if necessary. As tensions mounted, Danny's resolve strengthened. The bond he had formed with the infants fueled his determination to protect them at all costs. Zara, with her sharp mind and resourcefulness, became his indispensable ally. Together, they navigated the intricate web of allies and adversaries, each step bringing them closer to uncovering the full truth behind the Kivari infants and their significance. The galaxy watched as the stakes grew higher. Danny and Zara knew that their actions could spark a conflict of unprecedented scale, but they were prepared to face whatever challenges lay ahead. Their mission had evolved from a simple rescue to a fight for justice and protection, with the fate of an entire species hanging in the balance. One night, as Danny and Zara reviewed intelligence reports, an encrypted message came through their secure channel. It was from an insider within one of the intergalactic corporations. The message hinted at a high-level conspiracy involving powerful individuals who wanted to harness the Kivari's genetic potential for their own ends. The informant provided coordinates to a secret facility where more information could be found. Zara's eyes sparkled with determination. "We need to check this out. It might give us the leverage we need to protect the infants." Danny agreed, but he knew the mission would be dangerous. They couldn't risk taking the infants, so they left them in the care of trusted allies at the hidden asteroid base. With a small, stealthy shuttle, Danny and Zara set off for the coordinates provided by the informant. The facility was located on a remote moon, shrouded in secrecy and heavily guarded. Using their combined skills, Danny and Zara infiltrated the facility, bypassing security systems and avoiding patrols. Inside, they discovered a laboratory filled with advanced genetic research equipment and data on the Kivari species. As they gathered evidence, they were confronted by Dr. Relan Norex, the lead scientist behind the experiments. Norex, a disgraced former council member, had been conducting illegal research to create super soldiers using Kivari DNA. His motivations were clear: power and control. "You have no idea what you're meddling with," Norex sneered, his eyes cold and calculating. "These infants are the key to unlocking unimaginable power." Danny and Zara captured Norex and downloaded the data from the facility's mainframe. As they made their escape, alarms blared, and security forces closed in. They fought their way out, utilizing Zara's expertise in combat and Danny's strategic thinking. Back at the asteroid base, Danny and Zara presented the evidence to their allies. The data revealed the extent of the conspiracy, implicating several high-ranking officials and corporate leaders. With this information, they could leverage the Galactic Council to take action against those who sought to exploit the Kivari infants. Realizing the need for more allies, Danny and Zara prepared to present their findings to the Galactic Council. They knew it would be a delicate task. The Council was a complex political body, rife with its own power struggles and conflicting interests. Danny crafted a compelling message, detailing the conspiracy and the potential consequences of allowing such exploitation to continue. Zara, using her network, secured a meeting with sympathetic council members who had shown interest in protecting endangered species and maintaining galactic peace. The day of the presentation arrived, and Danny and Zara stood before the council. The chamber was grand, filled with representatives from various species and factions, each with their own agendas. The atmosphere was tense, and Danny could feel the weight of their scrutiny. "We stand before you today," Danny began, his voice steady, "not only to seek justice for the Kivari infants, but to warn of the dangers posed by those who seek to exploit their genetic potential. We have uncovered a conspiracy that threatens the stability of our galaxy." Zara projected the data they had gathered, highlighting the illegal experiments and the identities of those involved. The evidence was damning, and murmurs filled the chamber as the council members absorbed the information. Councillor Arya Velan, known for her advocacy of ethical research, spoke up. "These findings are deeply troubling. We cannot allow such actions to go unchecked. I propose an immediate investigation and protection measures for the Kivari species." However, not all council members were convinced. Some questioned the authenticity of the evidence, while others hinted at the potential benefits of harnessing the Kivari's abilities. The debate was heated, with arguments and counter-arguments flying across the chamber. Danny and Zara remained resolute, countering each point with facts and appeals to the council's sense of justice and duty. They emphasized the long-term consequences of allowing such exploitation, including potential interstellar conflict and the erosion of ethical standards. After hours of deliberation, a vote was called. The council's decision was narrowly in favor of investigating the conspiracy and providing protection for the Kaivari infants. It was a significant victory, but Danny and Zara knew it was only the beginning. With the Council's backing, they gained access to resources and allies they had previously lacked. A task force was formed to dismantle the illegal operations and ensure the infants' safety. Danny and Zara's actions had set in motion a series of events that would reshape the balance of power in the galaxy. As they left the council chamber, Zara turned to Danny, a determined look in her eyes. "This is far from over. We've exposed the truth. But now we need to make sure justice is served and the Kaivari are protected." Danny nodded, understanding the gravity of their mission. They had made powerful enemies, but they also had new allies and a renewed sense of purpose. The battle was far from over, but they were ready for whatever challenges lay ahead. Danny and Zara oversaw the transfer of the infants to the outpost, ensuring their safety and comfort. The station's medical facilities were state-of-the-art, providing the care the infants needed. However, the tranquility was short-lived. Danny's instincts told him that their enemies wouldn't sit idle, and he was right. It was late in the evening when the first signs of trouble appeared. The outpost's long-range sensors picked up multiple unidentified ships heading towards their location. Danny and Zara were alerted immediately. The data streams showed a fleet of mercenary vessels, heavily armed and moving with purpose. "Prepare for an assault," Danny ordered, his voice calm but firm. The station's defense systems were activated, and the task force members scrambled to their positions. Zara coordinated the technical aspects, ensuring all systems were operational and strategizing their defensive measures. As the enemy fleet approached, the outpost's defenses roared to life. Turrets and missile launchers fired in unison, creating a deadly barrier. The initial wave of enemy ships took heavy damage, but they pressed on, their numbers and firepower a testament to their determination. The battle was fierce. Danny led the defense, his tactical mind orchestrating counterattacks and maneuvers that kept the mercenaries at bay. Zara's technical prowess ensured that the outpost's systems ran smoothly, repairing damages and optimizing performance on the fly. Despite their best efforts, the enemy breached the outer defenses. Boarding parties infiltrated the station, leading to intense close-quarters combat. Danny, Zara, and the task force fought valiantly, utilizing every advantage the outpost's layout provided. During the chaos, Danny discovered a hidden message within the station's central computer. It was an encrypted log from the original builders of the outpost, revealing the true purpose of the Kaivari infants. The message detailed a secret project to hide the infants to protect a powerful genetic secret from falling into the wrong hands. Realizing the significance of this information, Danny knew they had to end the battle quickly. He rallied the defenders, pushing back the mercenaries with renewed vigor. Zara managed to hack into the enemy's communication system, creating confusion and disarray among their ranks. After hours of relentless fighting, the mercenaries began to retreat. The combined efforts of Danny, Zara, and the task force had turned the tide. The outpost held, and the infants remained safe. In the aftermath of the battle, the station's infirmary was filled with wounded soldiers and medics tending to their injuries. Danny and Zara, exhausted but uninjured, gathered with the council's representatives to discuss the hidden message and its implications. The encrypted log they had discovered detailed an ancient project led by the Kuvari's ancestors. It revealed that the infants were not merely ordinary offspring, but genetically enhanced beings, designed to inherit and amplify the best traits of their species. This project aimed to preserve their civilization's knowledge and abilities, ensuring their survival against existential threats. As they decoded more of the message, Danny and Zara realized that the infant's genetic makeup contained keys to advanced technologies and biological adaptations. These secrets could revolutionize medicine, energy, and even space travel. However, in the wrong hands, they could also be weaponized, leading to catastrophic consequences. The council representatives were stunned by the revelations. Counselor Arya Velan, who had been a strong advocate for protecting the infants, spoke first. "We must ensure these secrets are safeguarded and used for the benefit of all, not just a select few. The potential for both good and harm is immense." Danny agreed. We need to find the infant's homeworld and learn more about their origins. The Kaivari people must have answers, and possibly allies who can help us protect them. Zara added, we should also continue to investigate the factions involved in the conspiracy. They won't stop until they get what they want, and we need to stay one step ahead. With a new plan in place, Danny and Zara prepared for the journey to the Kaivari homeworld. The council provided additional resources and personnel to assist in their mission. The task force was strengthened, and alliances with other sympathetic species and organizations were forged. As they embarked on this next phase of their mission, Danny couldn't shake the feeling that they were on the brink of something monumental. The fate of the Kaivari infants, their homeworld, and potentially the entire galaxy hung in the balance. They had uncovered only the tip of the iceberg, and the full scope of their discovery was yet to be realized. The journey to the Kaivari homeworld was fraught with danger. The coordinates provided by the encrypted message led them to a region of space known for its spatial anomalies and treacherous navigation. Danny and Zara relied on their skills and the expertise of their new allies to guide them through the perils. Upon reaching the Kaivari homeworld, they were greeted with a mixture of suspicion and hope. The inhabitants were wary of outsiders, but recognized the significance of the infant's return. Through careful diplomacy and the sharing of their findings, Danny and Zara gained the trust of the Kaivari leaders. The Kaivari elders revealed the full history of their project and the sacrifices made to protect their future generations. They also provided insights into the infants' unique abilities and how they could be nurtured to benefit not only their species, but the galaxy as a whole. With this newfound knowledge, Danny and Zara worked with the Kaivari to create a plan for safeguarding the infants and their secrets. They established a secure facility on the homeworld, protected by advanced technology and the combined forces of their allies. As they solidified their plans, the threat from their adversaries loomed large. The factions that sought to exploit the Kaivari's potential were relentless, and Danny knew that their struggle was far from over. However, with the support of the Kaivari and their allies, they were better prepared to face the challenges ahead. Determined to return the infants to their rightful place, Danny, Zara, and their team set course for the Kaivari homeworld. The coordinates provided by the encrypted message led them to an uncharted region of space known for its spatial anomalies and dangerous navigation. The journey was fraught with challenges, but the stakes were too high to turn back. The Endeavor and Zara's ship, the Ironclad, traveled in tandem, their combined resources and expertise providing a formidable presence. Alongside them were several allied ships from the Galactic Council, adding extra security and support for the perilous journey. As they approached the uncharted sector, Danny briefed the crew on the dangers ahead. "Stay alert," Danny instructed over the comms. "The anomalies here can disrupt our sensors and navigation systems. We'll need to rely on manual piloting and constant communication." Zara, in the cockpit of the Ironclad, nodded in agreement. "We've made it this far. Let's bring these infants home." The fleet navigated through the turbulent region, dodging gravitational distortions and unpredictable asteroid fields. Tensions were high, but Danny's and Zara's leadership kept the crew focused and determined. Along the way, they encountered remnants of ancient battles, derelict ships, and signs of long-forgotten civilizations. As they drew closer to the Kaivari homeworld, a massive energy field came into view. It shimmered with a radiant glow, protecting the planet from intruders. Danny initiated a scan to find a way through the barrier. "It's a sophisticated shield," Zara reported. "We need to find the frequency modulation to pass through without triggering an alarm." Working together, the team deciphered the shield's frequency and created a temporary bypass. With a collective breath, they guided their ships through the energy field, emerging into the peaceful orbit of the Kaivari homeworld. The planet was breathtaking. Verdant landscapes, shimmering oceans, and sprawling cities built into the natural terrain showcased the Kaivari's harmony with their environment. As the fleet descended, they were met by a delegation of Kaivari leaders, their expressions a mix of hope and skepticism. "Welcome to Kaivaria," said Elder Terran, a dignified figure with a presence that commanded respect. "We have awaited this day for a long time. Please follow us." Donnie and Zara followed the Kivari leaders to a grand hall, adorned with intricate carvings and vibrant murals depicting the history of their civilization. The infants, carried by caretakers, cooed and gurgled, seemingly at ease in their ancestral home. Elder Taryn addressed the gathered crowd. "These children are our future, and you have brought them back to us. For that, we are eternally grateful. But we must understand the full extent of their journey and the threats they face." Danny stepped forward, recounting their discovery of the infants and the subsequent battles to protect them. He shared the encrypted messages revelations about the infants' genetic enhancements and the potential dangers posed by those who sought to exploit their abilities. As the tale unfolded, the Kivari leaders exchanged worried glances. "Our ancestors created these children with the hope of safeguarding our legacy," Elder Taryn explained. "They possess the knowledge and capabilities to advance our society, but they also carry great risks. We must protect them from those who would use them for malicious purposes." Zara, ever the strategist, proposed a plan. "We need to fortify your defenses and create an alliance with sympathetic factions within the Galactic Council. With their support, we can ensure the infants' safety and prevent any attempts to exploit their abilities." The Kivari elders agreed, recognizing the wisdom in Zara's proposal. They revealed hidden archives containing ancient knowledge and advanced technology, offering these resources to strengthen their defenses and aid in the creation of a protective alliance. As Danny and Zara worked with the Kivari to implement these measures, they uncovered more about the infants' abilities. The children demonstrated remarkable cognitive and physical skills, hinting at their potential to revolutionize various fields if nurtured and guided responsibly. However, the peace was short-lived. Intelligence reports indicated that the factions pursuing the infants had not given up. They were regrouping and planning a coordinated attack on Kivaria. Danny and Zara knew they had to act swiftly to fortify the planet's defenses and rally their allies. The Kivari homeworld transformed into a hub of activity. Engineers and scientists worked alongside the Kivari to enhance their shielding technology and create new defense mechanisms. Diplomatic envoys were sent to key allies within the Galactic Council, seeking their commitment to protect Kivaria. As preparations intensified, Danny and Zara forged strong bonds with the Kivari people. They shared stories, exchanged knowledge, and built a foundation of trust and mutual respect. The alliance grew stronger, united by a common goal: to protect the infants and their legacy. The day of the anticipated attack approached, and tension filled the air. Danny and Zara, now honorary members of the Kivari Council, stood ready to defend their new allies. They knew the battle ahead would be decisive, not just for the infants, but for the future of interstellar cooperation and peace. The fleet of allied ships, reinforced with Kivari technology, took positions around the planet. The enhanced energy shield glowed brighter, a symbol of their united front against the impending threat. As the enemy fleet appeared on the horizon, Danny and Zara braced themselves, knowing that the battle for Kivaria was about to begin. The enemy fleet appeared on the horizon, an ominous armada of heavily armed ships bearing down on Kivaria. Danny, Zara, and their allies stood ready, a combined force of Kivari and Galactic Council ships prepared to defend the homeworld. The atmosphere was tense, every eye fixed on the approaching threat. "All units, hold your positions," Danny commanded over the comms. "Wait for my signal to engage. We can't afford any mistakes." The enemy fleet launched a barrage of energy weapons and missiles, testing the Kivari's enhanced energy shield. The shield held, absorbing and deflecting the initial assault. Danny and Zara watched from the command center, coordinating the defense. "Incoming fighters on the left flank," Zara reported, her fingers dancing over the control panel. "Deploy interceptors to counter." A squadron of Kivari and allied fighters launched to meet the enemy. The sky lit up with explosions and laser fire as the two sides clashed. The defenders' superior tactics and coordination gave them an edge, but the enemy's numbers and firepower were overwhelming. Danny issued orders with precision, directing the battle from the ground. "Shift the focus to their capital ships. If we take them out, the rest will fall apart." The Kivari's advanced technology, combined with the Galactic Council ships, proved formidable. They launched a coordinated assault on the enemy's capital ships, targeting their weak points with pinpoint accuracy. Explosions rocked the enemy fleet, but they continued their relentless advance. As the battle raged on, Danny received a distress call from the ground defenses. Enemy ground troops had landed and were attempting to breach the central command complex. "Zara, we need to hold the line here. I'm heading down to support the ground troops." Zara nodded, her focus never wavering. "Go. I'll keep things steady up here." Danny grabbed his weapon and rushed to the ground defense lines. The enemy troops were well-trained and heavily armed, pushing the Kaivari defenders to their limits. Danny joined the fray, his experience and leadership rallying the defenders. Explosions and the sound of gunfire filled the air as the battle intensified. Danny fought alongside the Kaivari soldiers, each moment a struggle for survival. The enemy pressed harder, but the defenders held their ground, driven by a fierce determination to protect their home and the infants. In the command center, Zara continued to coordinate the space battle. She directed the Allied fleet with surgical precision, exploiting every weakness in the enemy's formation. The tide began to turn as more enemy ships were destroyed, their formation crumbling under the relentless assault. Back on the ground, Danny and his team managed to repel the enemy troops, securing the command complex. "Ground defenses holding," Danny reported, his voice strained but resolute. "We're not letting them through." Zara's voice came through the comms, filled with relief. "Good. Up here, we're making progress too. The enemy fleet is starting to retreat." The combined efforts of Danny, Zara, and their allies finally paid off. The enemy fleet, battered and broken, began to withdraw. The defenders launched a final push, ensuring the retreat was complete and the threat neutralized. The battle was over, but the cost was high. The defenders had secured victory, but the toll in lives and damage was severe. Danny and Zara stood among the wreckage, their faces marked by exhaustion and determination. The Kaivari homeworld had been defended, but the price of victory weighed heavily on them all. Danny looked around at the aftermath, the wounded being tended to and the fallen honored. "We did it, but we've lost so much," he said quietly, his voice filled with sorrow and resolve. Zara placed a hand on his shoulder. "We protected the infants and their future. That's what matters. But you're right. We need to rebuild and ensure this never happens again." The Kaivari elders expressed their gratitude, recognizing the sacrifices made by Danny, Zara, and their allies. "Your bravery and dedication have saved our people," Elder Taryn said, his voice filled with gratitude. "We owe you a debt that can never be repaid." Danny shook his head. "We're all in this together. Protecting the future of the Kaivari is a victory for all of us. But we need to remain vigilant. The threat isn't gone, just postponed." In the days that followed, the Kaivari, with the help of their allies, began the process of rebuilding. The advanced technology and knowledge revealed during the battle were used to fortify their defenses further and ensure that their homeworld remained protected. Danny and Zara coordinated with the Galactic Council to establish permanent protection measures for the Kaivari. They formed a new task force dedicated to monitoring and countering any future threats to the infants and their homeworld. Amid the reconstruction, the infants began to thrive. Their unique abilities, once a potential threat, were now a beacon of hope and progress. The Kaivari elders, alongside Danny and Zara, nurtured these abilities, ensuring the children would grow up in a safe and supportive environment. As life slowly returned to normal, Danny and Zara reflected on their journey. They had faced immense challenges, forged unbreakable bonds, and secured a future for the Kaivari. The sacrifices made had not been in vain, and the lessons learned would guide them in the years to come. Standing on a hill overlooking the rebuilt city, Danny spoke to Zara. "We've come a long way, but there's still so much to do. The galaxy is a big place, and there are always new challenges." Zara nodded, her gaze steady. "We'll face them together, just like we always have, and we'll make sure that the Kaivari and their future are protected." The battle for Kaivaria had ended, but the fight for peace and justice continued. United by their shared mission, Danny and Zara prepared to face whatever lay ahead, confident in their ability to overcome any obstacle. The future of the Kiveri and the galaxy was brighter because of their unwavering dedication and courage.